Hi, good evening. Welcome to another Blab with me, Claudette. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Claudette Esterine, and I am the founder and coordinator of the DOS Foundation. That's the Daughters of Sheba Foundation. We started as a group on Facebook, and it's a private group, a secret group even on Facebook. It's a group of women who we call it Come Together for Big Woman Conversations, where we talk about anything and everything having to do with women, relationships, our bodies, our outlook on life, our spirituality, and so forth. That evolved into an actual foundation of which I am the chairperson and the coordinator, among other things. And I operate our Twitter feed as well as a Facebook page. We had a Facebook page under the name DOS Foundation, but it was becoming too difficult to manage two pages. So everything now comes under my page, which is facebook.com/Claudette P. Esterine. And more recently, in the last 4 months, we've started a blog under my name as well, ClaudettePEsterine.com. This is my second Blab, and I'm so glad to be here. I am to be joined this evening by a member of the DOS Foundation, Beverly Sukie Martin. She is a talk show host out in Orlando, Florida, the other way around. I myself am living in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm Jamaican by birth, as you might have detected from my accent, but I am also Canadian. I'm a proud Canadian. I'm a proud Jamaican Canadian living in Edmonton, Alberta. Our conversation this evening is about the gift of goodbye, one that we started earlier on Beverly's radio program. And Beverly called me not so long ago. They're having a little car problems, and she will be here just in a little while. So that conversation started earlier, and we were talking about how to say goodbye, how to let go of people, relationships, jobs, situations, even things around your house. You know, how do you let go of these things without regrets? How do you move forward with your life, progressing without having regrets? You know, some people find it very, very, very difficult to do that, and so. As I said in the promo that was created for that show, Beverly, her husband Noel, and I are veterans of saying goodbye and starting over. So we thought that, we would continue the conversation here on Blab and open it up for others who would like to interact with us and ask us questions as we go over some of the things that a person has to do when trying to let go of issues in their life. Feel free to send me your questions. I am open to responding to your questions and just to your feedback, your own experiences of how to say goodbye, how to let go of things that are holding you back. As we wait here for Beverly to get home and to join us, you and I will just have a chat and see where things go. There are a few people subscribed, and they are not here yet, and that's okay. I'll keep blabbing until I get some company. So, researching this, and, it didn't take a lot of research on my part. As I said, this is something I've lived for most of my life, and for the 50 years that I've now been on Earth, it's something that I've had to learn to do, how to walk away from stuff, how to walk away from situations. I've walked away from marriages. I've walked away from relationships. I've walked away from well-paying jobs. I've started over so many times in my life. I don't have enough fingers and toes to count how many times I've had to do that. So it has become some people might wonder, if you walk away from so many things, are you incapable of staying? Are you lacking in the stability? Or am I one of those people who, like on Facebook, you have people who change their status weekly, and that's something I've stopped doing. Earlier back in the day of when Facebook was just beginning, every new relationship you put in a relationship, or it's complicated, or I'm single, and so forth. And I firmly believe in Facebook developing a button that just says, not single, not anything like that, but just says, I'm here. That's it. That's my relationship status. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm well. That's it. So I've kept mine single for years now. No matter if I'm in a relationship, married, or what, it's just single, because that's the only option that applies to me. Is single life the best life? It is for some, it isn't for others. But when weighed against being in a relationship that's not going anywhere, or a relationship that's holding me personally on a spot where I no longer fit or no longer want to march on, yes, singledom is best for me. So, as I said, Beverly, who will be joining me in a little while, she's as well a veteran of starting over, a veteran of moving on, a veteran of saying goodbye. And I do hope when she gets here, she will share her story with you in part. At least in part, how she's gotten to this place of being able to walk away from what no longer serves her. What about you? Have you been able to walk away from anything? Is there anything that is keeping you rooted? Please do come and have a chat with me. Let us explore this topic together, and see, how we can help even one. My philosophy in life is, if you can help one, you have done your job. And that's what my intention is tonight, to help even one person say goodbye from anything whatsoever it is that is keeping them rooted. So, like I said, waiting for Beverly to join us, and as soon as she gets here, we will delve into the topic with some depth and intensity. In the meanwhile, I will keep the seat warm, keep my seat warm, keep her seat warm, and as we will get to it as soon as she gets here. I've read, I read lots of books. I am now more reading online rather than hard copies of books, but I've read a lot of books in my time, and the ones that I've been drawn to at times in my life when things weren't going the way that I wanted them to, or at a point when I needed to let go of something in order to expand my life. One of the things that plagued me back in those days was the whole question of surrender, because letting go is part of letting go is being able to surrender. And a lot of people equate the word surrender with Christianity or some kind of religious notion. It really isn't. For me, surrender has meant being able to say, I don't know. All I know is that this situation, this job, this stuff that I have is not helping me. It's holding me back. I surrender to a power greater than myself, because that's my belief. Or if that's not your belief, I surrender to my highest good. I surrender to what will take me to where I need to be. And a great part of letting go is surrender. But there are other things that has to happen before you get to that point of surrender. And that's what I would like to discuss with you today. As we go through this chat, this blab, and as soon as Beverly gets here. But many of the books that I've read, as I said, have pointed to surrender. But there is something else that's very important in this process of letting go, and that is love. love of self. Love is the most important element of letting go, and that's another thing that Beverly and myself will discuss when she gets here. As I said, she is running a little late, and she's coming from her radio show to join us. She will be here shortly, but that's one of the things that we had discussed earlier. You know how it is that a person. What is the first thing that you need to do when you have a situation facing you that you need to let go of? And we both came to the conclusion early on her show, which you can listen to the recording of that show at www.talkitupradioshow.com. That's talkitupradioshow.com. We had a 1 hour discussion on the topic, and we all came to the conclusion that self-love is one of the most important steps that anyone can take if there are issues in their life that they need to let go of. And I know some of you might be saying, oh, here we go again, another person talking about love and another person promoting love, 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 love. It's all this touchy-feely nonsense. It's this kumbaya nonsense, and if that's your view, that's okay. That's your view. I hope it's working for you, the other view that you hold. But for us, we all came to the feeling that if you don't know yourself, then you can't know what you want. You can't separate yourself from whatever it is that you really do need to let go of in order to get your wings and fly. So those are some of the things I'd like to discuss with you. Another big thing in this matter of letting go in particular is relationships. A lot of people find it hard to let go of relationships. You are in a relationship that's not going anywhere. It might be a marriage. It might just be a dating situation. That you find it extremely hard to walk away from simply because this person is Beverly, she's here. Okay, 1 second here. Let me get her in to join us, and we'll continue this conversation. Hi, Beverly. How are you?
Hey.
I was just telling people that you were on your way, that you were having some car problems, and see that it's sorted. Thanks for being here. Is it all sorted?
Yes, we got it done.
Okay. A hubby of yours, he's please don't let him go.
No, so I need my headset, right? My headphone.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, and there's no big feedback, so that's fine. So I was just giving the context of our conversation. I was mentioning to those who are watching that we had an earlier conversation on your radio show, and I was saying that you're based in Orlando, Florida, and that they could actually get the recording. If I don't think it's yet available, but they could listen to the recording at www.talkitupradio.com. Did I say that correctly?
Talkitupradioshow.com.
Oh, talkitupradioshow.com. Yes, I forgot the show. Okay. Yes, so you can listen to the recording of that wonderful 1 hour conversation between Bev, myself, and her husband, Noel. I was also taking the liberty. There he goes. I was also saying that we three are veterans of letting go, of saying goodbye, and hoping that, as we talk this evening, you might share some of your own personal experiences, why one would call you a veteran of letting go. I was saying as well that one of the most difficult things that people have problems with letting go with are relationships. You're in a relationship and it is going nowhere, but you hang on for dear life. And that's something that I want to also discuss. So there are five main areas I want to cover. We don't have to do them one by one, but by the end of the evening, I would hope that we are able to discuss the questions. Why do people hang on to things and situations that are clearly no longer working for them? So that's one of the first things I want us to discuss. The second thing that I would like us to cover is it fear of losing out that holds people in relationships or in a job or even in a city. You fear that the city is going to boom and you're going to lose the good jobs that are coming up or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it relates to jobs, I want us to look on, is it a wise thing to hang on to a job because it's your career path, it's your current career path, it's your career development, or is it a slow death, staying in a job that is killing you? You're stressed out about going in the mornings, you hate your boss, you hate your colleagues, but you're hanging on because there's a gold watch on the horizon for you at your 50th or 30th year anniversary. And the fourth thing I want us to talk about is whether you're being a coward. Are you a coward, or does it take a lot of courage to move on? Be it a relationship again, or even a church,
Mm-hmm.
or a family situation. And finally, I would love if we could cover abuse, domestic violence, abuse of any kind. If someone is treating you badly, why is it that people find it so hard to let go? And I'm not only talking about women here. I know of men who are in situations where they're completely and totally disrespected by the woman in their life, and they just won't leave her alone. They keep going back for more. Why do we do that? So those are some of the things I'd like us to cover in the time that we have. And so just to jump straight into it now that you're here, why do people hang on to things you think that are no longer working for them?
Well, like you said, a part of it is fear. And for some people, they might feel empty inside and trying to fill that void. They feel like if they let go, what other options do they have? They hang on to a false sense of security. Not really.
But how can you feel secure about something? I'm only playing devil's advocate here. How can you feel secure in a situation that you approach your house, for example, and a darkness come over you, along with the emptiness? You have another kind of fear. What is he going to do tonight? Is there going to be an argument? Is she going to pick a fight with me tonight? Why would you want to hang on to that?
Right. Women they have various reasons. Some women say the kids, they don't want to separate the kids from both parents, so they'll stay in a situation that's really unhealthy for the kids. And you think you're staying for the children, but what you're actually doing is damaging them emotionally by them watching the dysfunction, a highly dysfunctional environment. Because for the woman who's living like that, or the man who's living like that, you're okay when you're outside of that environment, but as soon as you get there, there's like a dark cloud and a doom and gloom feeling that you're not able to function as a whole person, and even function as a mother or a father to those children.
How does a person, in your view, or if you want to draw on your own personal experience, because I know for one, I was in that situation. I was I have only one child, and I remember when we were married and the baby came, we had some major fights, and it ended up in physical violence, and one of the things that happened was that, I had to walk away from that relationship. And people were saying to me, but what about the child? She's so young, you should stay. Is that where that fear comes in? Or is it also compounded by fear of what people are going to say, if you're going to disappoint people?
And people really need to be careful about giving that kind of advice. Because really, you can't really see the big picture of what's going on. And a lot of abused people don't really open up to say what's happening. So you don't really know. But when you're encouraging them to stay, you're actually causing more damage to them. Because
so basically, people should stay out of people's business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I had a situation like that, not so long ago, recently, and the couple, they were having their issues, and I'm closer, obviously, to one than the other, and I try my best, and I've written this about this on my blog, is I do not give advice. If you ask me what I think and you ask me for feedback, I will tell you, and I'm making it very clear that it is my experience. This is how I see it. This is how I experienced it. But you, at the end of the day, have to advise. But as you correctly say, there are people have to be careful how they're telling others how to live their life, or throwing the Bible at them,
Exactly.
or the Quran, or whatever it is.
Yeah, our job when you have a loved one or a friend who's sharing that they're going through this, our job is to help them to see, help them to come to terms with what's going on, and for them to acknowledge it so they can move forward in the different stages, getting ready to let go. But you can't just say you can't leave. You have to him or her come to terms with what's going on and to see that it is dysfunctional, and then they make a decision from there.
What's the role of, do you think, historically, the role of the church with people not letting go and moving away from destructive relationships and situations?
I think a lot of churches are not, they're actually causing more damage in that area. And from personal experience, when I wanted to leave my dysfunctional marriage and I was told, God doesn't like divorce and all of the other things that go along with, no, you need to stay, you can't break your family up. But I had actually said to the pastor at the time who told me, you're not walking in my shoes, so what right do you have to tell me that I have to stay in an environment that is highly toxic for me? What right do you have? And what kind of God would want me to do that?
I like that you said that, about what kind of God, because when we were talking earlier, one of the things that I mentioned was that I feel that a key element to why people don't let go is that they don't realize who really is the source of everything in their lives. And you don't have to call it God. You don't have to call it spirit. You don't have to call it Allah. But a lot of people don't realize that. What is the source, and they feel that there is a being somewhere judging them if they decide to make a decision that will bring them closer to happiness. Would you like to share with people watching us, just how you got to the point where you were able to let go of anything that you have had to, like, let's say your marriage, since you mentioned that?
Well, the first thing I had to acknowledge that I made a mistake. I had to acknowledge it was all my doing. This had nothing to do with God. God didn't lead me down this path. I made a decision to be with someone that, there were red flags, warning signs. So I made the decision to do it. So, we had children in the marriage, and that was a big factor after that, because then it becomes not just, me and him, it was just with the kids as well. And I felt like dismantling the family or not being with him anymore would mean I would be judged for being a bad mother. And the children would hate me for breaking that up. And, all the other thoughts that go along with that. It was just a whole lot of list of why I shouldn't do it.
So how did you let go of the fear of the judgment that others would have of you?
When I realized I'm not getting any younger, and then, I realized 28 years went by living in the dysfunction. It's like I got to the point where I couldn't do it for another day or even another minute. I had to make that decision. This is not the way I want to live my life anymore. And whatever happens, whoever is not going to like it, I just have to just go with what's best for me. Some people said it was a selfish decision. And it was a selfish decision because at that point, you have to do what's best for you.
And that's, sorry to butt in right here, but I think you've touched on something that's very important. That word selfish, that word selfish, it's often used as a weapon, you know, against people, whether it's in a working environment, but particularly in a relationship or in families. When you need to do something for you, you're called selfish. How did you deal with that?
It was hard at first because I was one of those women that like to please people and like to, because I was so afraid of being alone. I was afraid of what my loved ones, you know, they were going to shun me and not speak to me. And that did happen. It did ruin some relationships. But in the end, I'm very happy that I made that decision, because where I am now in my life, had I not walked through that door, I would not have been able to walk back into a door that was meant for me to be walking through.
And do you find, because this has been my experience, that once you know, there could be all kinds of things going on in your life that you need to let go of, you know, but the major one, let's just say the major thing is having to do with dysfunction in a relationship, you know, and that's, you know, that's where you hang on the tightest. Do you find that, or did you find that when you let go of that big thing, everything else became easier for you?
Yes, because I don't know, his doors just started opening. I just, it's amazing once you make the decision that you can't live the way you've been living anymore. It's almost like you're welcoming whatever is meant for you, whatever you're born to do. Everything just falls into place. But when you're living a way that you shouldn't be living, nothing goes right. And you want, it's almost like you're a hamster on that wheel, just going round and round, not being able to get off. You're not going anywhere. You just keep going around on this hamster wheel. And that's how it is when you're living outside of your authentic self.
Yes, yes. And I also find that when you're living outside of your authentic self, you know, everything is a struggle. And as you said, that once you open one door, you know, so the others just is almost like a breeze. Start just blow through that one door that you open, and every other door, every window start to gradually sometimes open up for you.
Sure. And that doesn't mean everything's perfect.
No, it doesn't.
Not perfect, but I don't sweat the small stuff. Anything that comes my way right now is all small stuff, and I don't let that. You know, you have to learn to live with the small stuff.
When I started, you know, I was talking about love, and particularly self-love, you know, and the role that it plays in letting go. And I think it all starts there as well, being able to love. How does a woman who, or a man for that matter, you know, I don't want to exclude the men from this, you know, how does a person learn to love themselves when for most of their life, you know, they were taught that, you know, you're only half, you need to find the other half, you know, you're not good enough, you know, or you until you find a wife, you know, you won't ever be complete. How do you, then you find this woman and you think that, okay, finally I'm complete, but it's not working. How do you let go of that?
Right. Well, first you have to realize you really have to go deep within yourself and figure out, you know, why am I here? What is my purpose? And what am I contributing to me that's causing me to not love myself? What am I saying to myself? What kind of tape has been played over in my mind? And it could be from childhood. You were told you're no good, you'll never amount to anything good. It could be things like that. It could be from, you're in a marriage for 20-something years, 30 years, and, you know, you've been mentally beaten down by your spouse. It could be anything that made you get to that point. Because none of us are born not loving ourselves. It comes naturally. So when you get to that point where you're not loving yourself anymore, you have to go back to when that first happened.
Yeah. And you go back to the whole question, and one of the things that I said I wanted us to cover was the whole thing of fear,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The fear of the unknown, the fear of how am I going to survive. I remember when I was in a relationship for 16 years, and by the 9th year, I basically knew it was over. We both knew it was over. Recently, I don't know, I've been picking up old journals and rereading, and way back as the 10th year of the relationship, we both knew it was over.
Right.
But when my now ex finally moved out, I was devastated, devastated over something that died 6 years before, devastated over the end of something that died, that was long dead, and to the point that I didn't know. I was fearful of how am I going to survive, how am I going to get out of debt, because we had created debt as a couple. How am I going to get out of debt, who's going to want me? I'm now old. That time I was, 42 or something. I'm now old. Who are going to want me at this stage of the game? And all of those fears, pushed me to the point of attempting suicide. I attempted suicide twice, and it's by the grace of God and the angels that kicked down my doors and came and physically rescued me, that I was able to begin the process of getting over my fears. Yes. Do you remember that movie, How Stella Got Her Groove Back?
Yes.
Okay, so Terry McMillan did a follow-up to that movie. No, please go right ahead. Wish I had one too. Terry McMillan did a follow-up to that called Get Into Happy. And in that second book, it was written 15 years after How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And she basically was following up on the lives of the women and where they had gotten to by that time. And one of the characters, she had gotten married. She was at 51, my upcoming age. At 51, she found a man and she got married and realized that, okay, this is wrong. This isn't working. And I just wanted to share with you a little piece that I found. And she says, make no mistake, I still love Isaac. That's her husband, Isaac. But I haven't been in love with him for quite some time. It's not an easy thing to admit. I'm not one of those women who feels I need a man to complete me. I also don't think there's just one person in the world meant for me. Sometimes you luck up and sometimes your luck runs out. I'm beginning to wonder if a good marriage is even possible. Ever since I turned 50, I've become aware of the passage of time and what I'm doing with it. If I dropped dead tomorrow, what legacy would I leave? Would I have done a lot of things I wanted to do, seen some of the places that I've wanted to see? And would I, if I took a few minutes to think about it, feel as if the time I was blessed with was well spent, or had I just bullshitted my way through it? Wow. Those are some real questions we have to ask, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a job, or whether it's all the stuff that we have in our house. Is this what I really want? Right. I'm now 50 years of age. Am I happy?
That's the point where I got to. I turned 50 and I was like, okay.
So 50 is the crucial point. So you turned 50 and what? You turned 50 and what?
When I turned 50, that's when I realized, oh my goodness, I'm on the second half of my life. What am I doing? What am I really doing? And what's going to happen? My kids are grown and gone off. What's going to happen at that point? You're living with someone who you don't identify with anymore. You're no longer close. You're not even roommates because you don't speak anymore. So what sense is that? That makes no sense.
Were you scared?
Yes, I was.
What scared you most?
I was scared most because of the threats that was made. If I left, what's going to happen? You're going to end up with nothing, no kids. And we lived in a nice neighborhood, so I was scared to let go of the house and all the statue that come along with that, you know, things. Try to let go of the things. But in the end, you can't take any of those things with you.
No, you can't.
You die. And life is about living your life to the fullest. If you're not living where you can laugh every day and you feel joy and there's passion in your life.
Hi, David. How are you? Sorry, just someone's telling us hi. He's gonna join us. Hi, David. Hi, David. How are you?
I'm good. I'm new to Blab. I'm just trying to figure this out.
Oh, okay. Well, we are fairly new ourselves, and we are having a conversation about how to let go of stuff, relationships, etc. Okay, so he's left. He doesn't want to talk about that. He doesn't want. So he has let us go. He has let.
Or maybe he's trying to figure out how to get on the thing.
Yeah, so sorry about that. Yeah, you were saying, but so how did it work out in the end? Well, not the end because you're not dead yet, but of that marriage.
Yes, in the end, I just walked away. Realized, I had to do something. It's not much point going back and forth, and not worrying about whatever threat. I was willing to do whatever it takes and not deal with the consequences of what happened with that. The only thing that I was really concerned about at that point was for my well-being.
What about your well-being?
I had lost a lot of weight and I wasn't healthy emotionally. I was in a bad place emotionally.
One of the things that I found with people in our community, and I don't know if anybody else watching us, might want to share if they're from a different culture, is that we are not really into psychotherapy. We don't do therapy, so like you said, you were not in a good place mentally. Did you seek that kind of help? If not, why not? If yes, how did it work for you?
We did it as a couple. But therapy is something that will not help you if you're not facing the truth and if you're not telling the truth. It will not help. If you're going to therapy, just to say, I'm going to go fix her, or I'm going to go fix her, or I'm going to go fix him. I'm going to therapy because he needs fixing or she needs fixing. Then once again, you're on that hamster wheel, just going around circles. So,
I have a story about that too. Because,
after 2 or 3
one of my exes, I got married again after that relationship, and that ended. And we also went to therapy because it was supposed to help him, and then we got into therapy and it was about me. And I was like, hello, we're here for you. He wasn't ready for it.
Right.
So you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I read another interesting thing here, a quote that I thought I would bring to this conversation. And it was from this fella. I really love him. His name is, I'm sure you know him, Steve Maraboli. And he wrote this.
Quotes I read too.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you did. Yeah. Yeah, we are. He said, cry, forgive, learn, move on. Let your tears water the seeds of your future happiness. How powerful is that?
The exact quote, and I didn't get to read it before the show ended. I'm getting teary-eyed. The exact same quote I wrote. There's more to it. You just read the last part of it.
Yes. I just picked up because I loved what he said, because we were just talking about therapy, and what he's saying is cry if you must, bawl, weep, holler, and I remember because that has been the most profound relationship of my life, that one that lasted for 16 years. And I remember I told you, I tried to kill my damn self, I cried, I wept, and I remember even losing friends because of how despondent I was, and people
Yes.
tried to, I don't think they deliberately did so, but, made me or tried to make me feel ashamed of how much grief I was feeling.
Yes.
But you have to grieve it. In order to
Yes.
truly let something go, you have to grieve.
Yes.
Don't you agree?
Yes, yes. And listen, I have to read the rest of that quote.
Okay.
Okay, Steve Marabet Bowley. But what he was trying to say here, it's so good, because when I walked away from that caused people to be judgmental, and they were saying bad things about me and everything. So what he's saying here, if people refuse to see you in a new light, and they can only see you for what you were, they only see you for the mistakes you've made. If they don't realize that you're not your mistakes, then they have to go. Mm-hmm. Letting go means to come to the realization that some people are a part of your history, but not a part of your destiny.
Yes.
And then cry, forgive, learn, move on. Let your tears water the seeds.
Water the seeds of your future happiness.
And I cannot believe
powerful quote, because that is what holds a lot of women in particular in situations. And yes, we're focused on relationship, but I mean in any kind of situation, because they're afraid to cry, they're afraid to admit, you know what? I hope this won't be censored on Blab, but you know what? And please excuse me, but it's the most powerful way to say it. You know what? I screwed the fuck up right there. Admit it. Cry over it and move on, and that for me was so powerful.
And you know what? You have to courage. It takes courage. It takes courage to walk away, and knowing that I'm telling you right now, when you do walk away, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an easy road to walk. You are going to face challenges, but it's those challenges that you learn to appreciate once you get to the other side of it.
And that was the fourth question that I wanted us to cover tonight, whether you're a coward to walk away, because some people say, oh, you must fight for the marriage, on my blog, and I'm going to shamelessly plug it here at www.claudetteesterine.com. I recently had a post. I have contributors to my blog, and one of them wrote a very great article on relationships, and if you're looking for a man to pay your bills or what, and I had quite a lot of comments to it, but one that stood out to me that is relevant to this conversation, a lot of women came and say, well, I've been married for 20 years and I'm happily married, and I remember saying to one, I'm happily single, because people say to you that because you're single, or because you walked away from a marriage or a relationship, you're a coward, you lack faith,
the most courageous thing. It's the most courageous thing, because it's easy to make the easy decisions. I mean, it's no big deal.
What about compromise? Is it because what the suggestion is, you need to learn to compromise in relationships. Relationships are hard work. Walking away is an easy thing to do.
There's really no compromising when you're with someone who doesn't care about your feelings. You're not loved and respected. You're not cherished. It took me years to realize how I should be treated. It took me years to realize how precious I am. And I shouldn't accept anything less.
And that's it right there. That's it right there. Realizing who you are, and like I said earlier today on your show, whose you are. Whoever. Yeah, because if Maya Angelou, I remember years ago, and it's been repeated over and over, years ago, Maya Angelou, Oprah reported that Maya Angelou told her, you teach people how to treat you.
Exactly.
And a lot of us are calling into session the wrong classes. We're teaching people how to disrespect us. We're teaching people how to walk on us. And to get them to unlearn that is almost impossible. After you have taught them, you have given them a certification, they've graduated from the class that you held, that you can treat me like crap and it's okay, baby, I love you.
Right.
It's hard to walk away from that.
Or, you know, from our culture, we're taught to, and even with Christian principles, they misquote the scripture when it talks about submitting. Wife, submit to your husband. But if they're going to quote that scripture, then I like to bring back the one that says, and husband, love your wives like Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. You know what kind of love that is? When you can sacrifice yourself to die for someone, that's a big deal. So, you know, when they come with that wife should submit to the husband, I usually say the other one. Well, you know, husbands should love their wives like Christ loved the church. And so that's a sacrificial love. So
yes,
at that point, when I decided to walk away, I was willing to be alone if I did not find someone who would love me unconditionally and treat me like the queen.
And did you find that one?
I sure did, and I wasn't even looking.
Isn't that interesting? You know, earlier we were saying about, you know, once you let go of the big thing, the one big thing that's holding you back, all hell break loose in your life, meaning, you know, everything goes bad for a while, but then, oh my God, the things that come to you, and you got it, didn't you?
The way I went through my divorce, if there was ever a great way to do it, I think that would be it. Because I focused on me. I started doing all the things I loved to do that I suppressed over the years. And I just brought joy into my life, just being and doing what I love to do. And I wasn't concentrating on, you know, man, am I going to find out?
Somebody.
Give me joy. I gave myself joy. I did the things I love.
That's the power. That's the power.
That prepared me for the love that I found. That really did.
But like we said earlier, you know, like when you're on an aircraft, they tell you to put the mask over your face first. If you can't love yourself, if you can't breathe for yourself, how are you going to give somebody else love? You know, my daughter, as you know, I have an adult daughter, and she keeps saying to me, when are you going to settle down? You know, I said, maybe never, you know, because this is me time. I love me. I'm enjoying me. And until somebody comes into my life who, I don't care who it is, but until that person comes into my life that loves me as much as I love me, and they love themselves as much as I love myself, only then I will be in it won't even be settling down. It will be a coming of two holes. Right. You know, that's how I see it. Oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It is. It's really a great thing, you know, just get in touch with yourself. And it goes along not just with a relationship, but all areas of your life. You know, you demand excellence of yourself. You know, you want to
Which brings me to the point about, because you said all areas of your life. How does these principles that we have been talking about, loving yourself, working on yourself, healing your own wounds, getting to the point of learning how to teach people your worth. You know, you first have to know your worth and live from your worth, and then people will see, oh, okay, this is this kind of woman that she's, and don't make apologies for it. You know, I mean, people love to say that, oh, she's high maintenance. Yes, I am high maintenance, and I can maintain me. You know, I'm not asking you to maintain me. I can maintain me, you know. So how do you apply all of these things to, say, like a work situation?
Well, in a work situation, the thing is, what I find in a work situation with people, if you're not identifying who you really are, if you haven't come to that realization what your authentic self is, you're going to be bothered by everything. Like at work, if you have a supervisor over you or a manager and they give you some constructive criticism to help you to grow, you're not going to see it as a constructive criticism. You're going to see it as somebody belittling you, putting you down, and you're always going to be looking on the negative side of it. But when you're at peace with yourself, you know who you are, and you love yourself, you're going to accept whatever they're telling you as, hey, this is another stepping stone for me. This is something for me to learn from and to grow into, to be the best I can be in that area that they're pointing out to me that I need to change.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we've been talking a lot about women.
Mm-hmm.
Do these things apply to men, do you think? I don't live with one, so
human behavior period. Men
okay.
And women, because like I said, we are all born on the same wavelength. We're all born not knowing that we're not special, not knowing that we're not loved, not knowing that we shouldn't love ourselves. But things change over a period of time. We get abused, we get talked down to, people saying negative things to us, and that really changes who a child is. Like you, your granddaughter,
Mm-hmm,
you're doing an awesome job with her because that child knows that she is loved unconditionally, and she's gonna grow up not taking any crap from anyone. Because
and that was with my raising my daughter, and now I see her. I do my part, but I see her doing that with her daughter. I grew up in a very dysfunctional single parent home, and this is not about blaming mother or blaming parent, but it's just the reality. That's how I grew up. I was called names, I was beaten, I was abused, I was punched, I was stabbed, and all of that. And like you said, I did not know my worth for many, 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 many years until I was in my 40s before. So 10 years ago, before I finally got it who I was. But something inside of me kept saying there was more, there was more. And over those 10 years or maybe 15 years, I tried to teach that to my daughter, that you are. And this is something that we're going to be talking about on my blog this coming week, about whether you should or shouldn't call your girls princess or not, what are the implications. But I called my daughter a princess for all of her life, Our nickname for her was Princess Chulumba. Oh, it means nothing, but we just called her Princess Chulumba. And it is something that you have to instill in your children, otherwise they end up hanging on to so many negative images, so many negative stereotypes about themselves, especially, I'm not one to play a race card, and this is not about race card, but especially Black kids, they grow up with so limited, seeing themselves in so very limited way, and here I'm going off on a tangent here. Everybody's excited about the show Empire. I'm not a fan of Empire because for me, no, I'm not. I didn't watch the first season, and I'm at work, and some members of my team kept saying, "Oh, Empire premiering tonight, la la la. Claudette, do you watch Empire?" I was like, "What the hell is Empire?" And they started telling me, and so the first night, the other day, I watched it, and I was like, "Seriously?" And I said, okay, let's give it a chance. I watched it a second and I said, okay, that's it for me. Because, you have people who live that way, but not every Black person live that way. Not every Black person have that drama and all of that. And I don't want, like when my daughter was growing up, I didn't allow her to listen to I'm a Barbie girl, because she's not a Barbie girl. Okay. So I didn't. So what I found with my daughter is, now that she's an adult, now that she's a mom, she has fewer things to let go of. She has fewer baggage. She still has some, but she has fewer baggage in her life to let go of. And I think that is so important, that from an early, as soon as our kids come out of that womb, we just keep reinforcing, you are wonderful, you are divine, you are a child of an enormously generous universe. Anything you want can be yours. And then they will grow up into adults with so much less to let go of. Because what? They will not get themselves in situation that they need to let go of.
That's true. But you know, our parents who've made mistakes, they can't do what they don't know. And that's, I had to come to that realization when I had to forgive and let go of some things that happened to me in my childhood. They can only do what they know. And at the time, they thought they were doing their best. And, you know, people who they allowed to come into our lives that maybe caused us harm, they didn't know. I'm sure, you know, if they knew, they wouldn't have deliberately said, hey, you come and do this to my child. They didn't know. So
I'm going to disagree with you there because that was not my experience. My mother knew that
some parents,
harm was being caused to me. Okay.
Some definitely they knew and didn't do anything about it. But for the most part, we have to let go of whatever we're holding for the ones who didn't know. For the ones who didn't know.
Letting go is tantamount to me to forgiveness, but because you're forgiven somebody doesn't mean you're forgotten.
You can't forget. And you shouldn't forget. Because it's in remembering those things, those are the greatest lessons in your life, even though it was traumatic and, you know, how bad it was. But hey, we're here now. We survived it. So now we have to tell the story of survival. Not the story of being victimized, not the story of being a victim, because we're no longer a victim, we're survivors. And so that's
I remember when I was in chaplaincy training, and we had what was called we called it a fishbowl, because every Friday the three of us who were residents, we were locked in a room and we just had to talk stuff, you know, and we did this. We were in residency for a year. And somewhere at some point in the year, maybe mid-year or somewhere around there, I don't remember now how the issue of rape came up, you know, and I shared in that conversation that I was raped, you know, and there was just two of us women and one guy, you know, and the woman, she was very upset with me. You know, and I didn't get it. But because of the setting, you had to be real with each other. So I said, why are you upset with me? You know, I was the one who was raped. And she said, no, because I'm upset because of how easily you said it, you know, and it's almost like it's no big deal. I said, it's no longer a big deal. I learned my lesson.
And be really upset about that. Yeah.
I said I learned the lesson from it. You know, did I want it to happen? Did I consciously ask to be raped? Absolutely not. But I learned a lesson and have let go of the pain. You know, I've let go of the bitterness. You know, I've let go of the angst. You know, so where it concerns that issue in my life, I am healed. You know, I'm not going to be, and now that I'm on Twitter and stuff like that, you know, from time to time, I remember once on Google Plus, there was this group of women, and they were all militant, you know, and against domestic violence and against rape and so forth. And there was this conversation about women and date drugs and stuff like that, you know, and my position was middle of the road, as I find a lot of times of late, I'm middle of the road, because nothing is black or white. And the woman who was the chairperson of this group, she basically kicked me out of the group because she said I was an apologist for rapists. And I remember writing a blog post after that, you know, saying, you're calling me an apologist for rapists? You obviously don't know anything about me. You obviously don't know anything about my journey. But what you need to call me is to say, I'm not bitter. I am no longer bitter about rape. Do I condone people being raped? Absolutely not. Would I march the streets if necessary if I thought that would help? Absolutely, I would. But am I bitter? No, I've let go of the pain. And that is part of the letting go process.
Yes, and if
Don't
you
you
don't let go of
agree?
the pain, it just controls you and take you over, and you can't function as a normal person when you're carrying that. So we forgive the person, we don't forget, but we also don't carry any hate in our heart, because once you carry that hate and love can't live in the same heart. So you have to choice
Cannot.
which one you want to
Cannot.
do. So even for me, walking away from that marriage and that situation, I don't carry any hate towards my ex as far as you
Mm-hmm.
know, what transpired over the we of the marriage. We both had our part to play in it, and I blame myself for staying that long and making it get to that point. But that was in the past. I had to prepare myself mentally, emotionally, and get to the point where I realized it was time to go. If you're not ready emotionally, if you haven't prepared yourself or even figured out why you're doing it, then what are you going to do? You can't leave, and then it turns out good for you.
I just this year, earlier this year in February, was my 50th birthday, and my daughter and my granddaughter and I traveled to Jamaica to celebrate my 50th birthday, as well as to introduce the baby to the rest of the family. And my daughter's father and I, we were married and we've been divorced for over 20 years, and you would not believe the love and affection that was evident between us. And I don't mean romantic love or any rekindling of any flames, nothing like that, but the friendship that we
Yeah.
originally had, it returned because both of us, I'm sure, and there's this thing that men don't have these feelings.
Yeah.
Of course they
Yeah.
do have these feelings, and he obviously let go of all of the angst he had against me, and I had done the same. So we were now able to bond
Right.
around the baby, bond around the sorry, my phone, bond around the celebration of my birth, of the baby's birth. Yeah, and it was such a beautiful sight, and that is the whole thing about letting go. It you finally get
Yes.
freedom.
Yes. And you both have to realize when you're letting go, you're giving the other person permission to move on with their lives and to, be in a healthy relationship. It wasn't healthy with you. That doesn't mean both of you are bad people. It just means that it wasn't healthy with you. And here
Hi,
here's a
Megan.
cheeseburger at this time of night. So, you know, I my
Yeah.
my wish for everyone who's listening, who's faced with the same situation, is that you will find that place of peace within you, that you can make that decision for yourself and don't listen to the voices, the outside forces that's giving you advice on what to do, because you're the one who's walking that road, and you can't come to a standstill. Your life is going on, so you have to make a decision. And not making a decision on what to do is making a decision.
Is
Yes.
making a
Yes.
decision. Yes. Yes. So as we wrap up here, there's one final thing that I want to say on this. To not let go, to add to what you have said, to not let go is tantamount to tying bricks around your ankles and jumping off in the deep end of the pool. It's weighing you down. It's not affecting the other person as much as it's affecting you. They, like you said, they have gone on with their life. They're in another relationship. Your boss has said whatever he has or she has to say to you, and they've gone on to the next issue at work. The friend that you hop up in your heart, you vex with them forever. That person has moved on to
Yeah.
whatever, while you are the one there sinking, in this cesspool of anger and hatred and
Yes.
self-hatred more
Yes.
than anything else. Beverly, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to all those who watched and peeked in for this last hour. I hope we can do it again sometime in the future. This was It was great being on your show earlier today, and so anyone who wants to listen to the precursor of this conversation, please visit www.talkitupradioshow.com, and you will hear our earlier conversation and some wonderful gospel music that was played in between, and meet Beverly's husband, her second husband, Noel, who was gifted to her and will be gifted to me sometime after the next life. He's one of the most beautiful men ever. I have no shame in saying that, girl, you went through what you went through only to be presented, be prepared for this love like no other that you are now experiencing, And when I watch you too, I said to myself, yes, that's what I'm waiting for. That's going to be me in maybe not this life, but in the next life. But in the meantime, I am not going to compromise.
Don't settle.
And I'm not settling. I'm not settling for what is not my other whole. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the people who subscribed. They didn't chat with us. Many people are watching us. Yes. So I hope you enjoyed our conversation. I hope you will. If you came on late, you will watch the recording. It will be available shortly. And I will send you the link, Beverly, for the recording.
Sure.
And thank you so much. You can journey with me daily on my blog at www.claudettepesterine.com, and I'm also on Facebook at facebook.com/Claudette P. Esterine. And like I said, Beverly has a 1-hour radio show on Saturdays. It's she's located in Orlando, Florida, but you can listen anywhere you are in the world at www.talkitupradioshow.com. We are sisters in spirit, we're sisters in heart, but most of all, we're sisters in love, and it's a love that we like to share with the world.
How awesome is that? I said we came up with the same quote. That was just so awesome.
We're one. We're truly one.
But I want to say to everyone who's listening, please live your authentic life. There's no other way. We're in our 50s. I just turned 55 in April, and sometimes you don't think about that when you're younger. You think you need to live for all these people, but live your authentic life. Do not compromise that, and everything will be okay.
Yeah. And you'll find the man or the woman, hey, come on. I'm all about equality here, I'm equal on everything, and I just need to make it clear that although we have focused on man-woman relationship, I personally am not speaking for Beverly, and I'm not going to ask her to comment either way. I understand that their family has changed, and sometimes when you let go, you have to let go of the old thinking. You have to let go of the closet. You have to kick down the closet door and live the life that you are called to live. Namaste. I love you. I love you, Beverly. Peace. And I love all of you. Peace.
Blessings.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.